Imagine a moment where the odds are not just stacked against you, but seem utterly insurmountable. Picture 21 souls, isolated and outnumbered by an army of 10,000, facing certain doom. Yet, instead of retreating, they chose to stand, fight, and etch their names into the annals of history with unparalleled bravery. This is the story of Saragarhi, a tale of courage that transcends time and inspires generations. The late 19th century saw the British Empire grappling with control over the volatile northwest frontier. This rugged mountainous region bordering Afghanistan was a hotbed of tribal unrest and a constant challenge to imperial authority. Maintaining communication and control across this vast, unforgiving landscape was paramount, leading to the construction of a network of forts and outposts. Among these vital links was Saragarhi, a small, unassuming signal post perched precariously on a ridge. Its primary function was to relay messages via heliograph, using flashes of sunlight reflected by mirrors, between the larger, more strategically important forts of Gulistan and Lockhart. It was a lonely, exposed position, manned by a small detachment. The garrison at Saragarhi comprised just 21 men from the 36th Sikhs Regiment of the British Indian Army. These were not just soldiers, they were men of deep faith and martial tradition, drawn from the heartland of Punjab. Their training emphasized discipline, loyalty, and an unwavering commitment to duty, principles that would soon be tested beyond imagination. Their leader was Havildar Ishar Singh, a seasoned non-commissioned officer known for his quiet strength and dedication. The men under his command were a mix of veterans and younger recruits, but all shared the common bond of their regiment and their Sikh identity, which instilled in them a profound sense of honor and courage in the face of adversity. The summer of 1897 had seen a surge in tribal uprisings across the frontier. Emboldened by perceived British weakness and fueled by religious and tribal fervor, thousands of Afridi and Orakzai warriors were mobilizing. Their target, the British forts that symbolized foreign control over their ancestral lands. Saragarhi, the vulnerable link in the chain, became an immediate objective. On the morning of September 12, 1897, as the sun began to illuminate the rugged terrain, Havildar Ishar Singh observed a sight that would chill the bravest heart. Swarming from the surrounding valleys and converging on Saragarhi was a massive force of tribal warriors, estimated to be around 10,000 strong. The tiny outpost was about to face a human tide. The situation was stark and brutally simple. 21 defenders against 10,000 attackers. The military reality offered only one logical course of action: retreat, abandon the post, destroy the equipment, and attempt to fall back to the safety of Fort Lockhart. It was a move that any commander would understand and approve under such impossible circumstances. But Havildar Ishar Singh and his men were not just calculating military strategists. They were custodians of a proud martial heritage. Retreating meant abandoning their post, breaking the vital communication link, and potentially jeopardizing the larger forts by allowing the enemy to advance unchecked. It meant survival, perhaps, but at the cost of honor and duty. Gathering his small band, Havildar Ishar Singh laid out the grim options. They could attempt a desperate, likely fatal retreat, or they could hold their ground, fight to the last man, and buy precious time for the garrisons at Gulistan and Lockhart to strengthen their defenses. The decision, he emphasized, was not his alone. It belonged to every man present. What followed was a moment of collective heroism that resonates through history. Without hesitation, every single soldier, united by an unbreakable bond of brotherhood and purpose, chose to stay and fight. Their decision was not born of recklessness, but of a profound understanding of their duty and the potential consequences of failure. They chose sacrifice over surrender. This wasn't a silent, grim acceptance of fate. It was a conscious, defiant act. They knew their stand would likely end in death, but they wanted their courage, their sacrifice, to be witnessed. Sepoy Gurmukh Singh, the unit's signaler, immediately took to the heliograph, the sun's rays becoming their voice to the world. His first message, transmitted to Fort Lockhart, was a testament to their resolve. Enemy approaching from south in large numbers. Will hold position as long as possible. As the tribal army surged forward, surrounding the small fort, the defenders prepared for the inevitable onslaught. They were outnumbered, outgunned in terms of overall firepower, and their position was far from impregnable. Yet, they possessed an inner strength, a determination forged in faith and military discipline that the attackers could not match. The attack commenced with a deafening roar of thousands of rifles. Bullets hammered against the stone walls of Saragarhi, chipping away at the structure and raising clouds of dust. The small fort, designed as a signal station, not a bastion, began to show the strain. But the 21 Sikhs were ready, turning every loophole, every crack in the wall into a firing point. From their elevated position, they poured accurate and deadly fire into the dense ranks of the attackers. Every shot counted. They fought with the precision of trained soldiers and the ferocity of cornered warriors. The initial waves of the assault faltered and broke under the unexpected intensity of the defense. The attackers, expecting an easy victory, were met with unyielding resistance. Throughout the escalating battle, Sepoy Gurmukh Singh maintained his post at the heliograph. In between the deafening volleys of enemy fire and the return shots from his comrades, he continued to tap out messages, creating what is arguably the first live battlefield report in history. His dispatches, brief and urgent, chronicled the unfolding drama for the distant eyes at Fort Lockhart. Enemy approaching from three sides, returning fire. Each message was a snapshot of their desperate struggle, a testament to their refusal to yield. Heavy casualties among attackers, holding position. These reports, received with growing awe and dread at Fort Lockhart, painted a picture of extraordinary valor against impossible odds. The attackers, frustrated by the stubborn defense and suffering heavy losses, changed tactics. They attempted to breach the walls, using axes and scaling ladders. The fighting became even more desperate, moving from ranged combat to brutal, hand-to-hand struggle at the points of breach. Outer wall breached, fighting hand-to-hand. Gurmukh Singh's messages grew more frantic, yet the core message remained the same. They were holding. The defenders knew that relief was not coming. The nearest reinforcements were hours away, and the larger forts needed their own garrisons to prepare for potential attacks. Their fight was not for survival, but for time. Every minute they held Saragarhi was a minute gained for their comrades elsewhere, a minute that could mean the difference between victory and defeat for the entire frontier defense. As the morning wore on, the sheer weight of numbers began to take its inevitable toll. The defenders, fighting without rest, low on ammunition, and sustaining injuries, were slowly being overwhelmed. The attackers, though suffering horrific casualties, continued to press forward, their determination fueled by religious zeal and the desire to avenge their fallen comrades. Estimates suggest that the 21 Sikhs inflicted over 600 casualties on the attacking force, a staggering ratio that speaks volumes about their skill, discipline, and courage. They had turned their tiny fort into a killing ground, making the enemy pay a terrible price for every inch of ground gained. But heroism, however profound, cannot indefinitely defy the laws of physics and mathematics. One by one, the defenders fell. Havildar Ishar Singh, a beacon of courage, was reportedly among the last to fall, leading a desperate counterattack against a breach in the wall. The younger soldiers, inspired by their leader and their comrades, fought with the fury of lions, selling their lives dearly. The fort was becoming a charnel house, a monument to their sacrifice. Through the chaos and carnage, Sepoy Gurmukh Singh remained at his post, the heliograph his only link to the outside world. His messages became increasingly sparse, reflecting the dwindling number of defenders and the intensity of the final moments. Running low on ammunition. Only a few of us left. The end was near, but their spirit remained unbroken. His final messages were not pleas for help, but declarations of defiance and farewells, preparing to charge. This was the ultimate act of courage. Knowing death was certain, they chose to meet it head-on, attacking the overwhelming enemy force rather than waiting to be overrun. And then, the last poignant message, a message that echoes through the ages. Connection going to be broken. We are rushing at them. We will die fighting. Give our love to our families. The heliograph fell silent. The sun, which had carried their messages of defiance, now shone down on a scene of devastation. The Battle of Saragarhi was over. When a relief column finally reached Saragarhi the following day, they were met with a scene of horrific beauty. The small fort was battered and scarred, a testament to the ferocity of the assault. Inside and around the walls lay the bodies of the 21 defenders, positioned where they had made their final heroic stands, and scattered among them, in grim testimony to the price they had exacted, were the bodies of over 600 tribal warriors. The sacrifice of the 21 Sikhs was not in vain. The tribal forces, so severely bloodied and demoralized by the unexpected resistance at Saragarhi, abandoned their planned assaults on the larger forts of Gulistan and Lockhart. The vital communication link had been broken, but the time bought by the defenders allowed the other garrisons to fully prepare, ultimately preventing a wider catastrophe on the frontier. 21 men had saved thousands. News of the Battle of Saragarhi sent shockwaves across the British Empire and the Indian subcontinent. The sheer audacity and courage of the 21 Sikhs captured the imagination of the world. Queen Victoria herself was deeply moved by the accounts of their bravery. In an unprecedented tribute, the British Parliament adjourned for half an hour to honor the fallen soldiers, a remarkable recognition for colonial troops. Every single one of the 21 defenders was posthumously awarded the Indian Order of Merit, the highest gallantry award an Indian soldier could receive at the time. Their names were read aloud in Parliament, ensuring their sacrifice would not be forgotten. Memorials were erected, and their story became a mandatory part of the curriculum in Punjab schools, ensuring future generations would know of their valor.